So you are on, start sharing the screen, and recording started.
Hello everybody, and welcome to TOC Expert Webinar. As I was suggested, my name is Oded Cohen. I'm going to talk today on the growing need for the analytical capabilities. About me from a different perspective, I'm a system person. And as a teenager in Israel, I wanted to be an architect. This was very natural, as I was born into Israel, and actually I'm half a year older than the country. But all of my childhood and since then, the country have been on a continuous development, and definitely construction and new places and buildings, and starting from very little into what Israel is today and continuing to be. So I thought that I really want to be an architect. But after the army, basically I changed the focus of my attention, and actually what I really wanted was to be involved with system, and especially manufacturing system. So I went to the Technion, and I studied industrial engineering, and thereafter I did my master's degree in operations research. While doing that, and immediately after, I worked with very large logistical systems, and then I became the head of the computer department in a very large manufacturing company in Israel. And as such, I was responsible, and I was leading the implementation of a homegrown system, integrated system for manufacturing. It was based on the IBM approach, which was called COPIX in balance, which is the conceptual basis for the MRP2. But in those days, the computers hardly could maintain all of the technological load that was needed for this conceptual solution. And definitely not all of the modules were developed. So either we converted in all systems and put them into the integrated system, or we build our own system to complete the entire package. But when I came to a system for production scheduling, what was available did not fit what we really needed, and I met Eli Goldratt. This was in 1978, and his opt that he developed with his partner and the companies that he had in Israel fit very nicely into what we needed. As such, we started to work together. I was one of the first customers that he had in Israel. But pretty immediately, we developed very personal links and connection between the two of us, basically because we both had passion about system and about improving system. So since then, I had been around him and close to him in different capacity until he died in 2011. So this is basically to show or to tell you about my passion to system and system analysis in general. And from here comes the major reason of why do I want to conduct this session. So this webinar, first of all, from the title, it is obvious that I think that our views are different to what we are getting as an impression from the managers that we meet around the world, and also who our close colleagues meet. And the impression is that current management thinks that there's no need anymore to invest and to make the effort in analytical capabilities. So they just shrug the shoulders and say, why do we have to do that? Today there are this advanced system, the very smart systems of the computers, integrated system, the telephone is wise, and we can expect the computers to do the stuff for us. So if there was 1984 as a sort of as a science fiction that one day the computer will take over, it's definitely with the growing technology, advanced technology, it seems as if these days are getting closer and closer to us, and becomes more of the reality. So when we come with the TOC, and the TOC has its rigor logic, and it says, and it is using a very deep, profound analytical capabilities. Management says, come on, TOC is so difficult. It demands so much effort. It is so precise. You guys are sticking to every single word. You want it to be very, very accurate. No, it's too tough. There's absolutely no need for that. Okay. So we also see that universities that we come across also can sense, not everywhere, but the places that we have seen, is the reduction and the decline in the demand for subjects that develop analytical capabilities. However, we think that the reality is different. We think that actually there is a growing demand for people, and especially for those with outstanding analytical skills. And let me elaborate about that. I think that organizations need these analytical capabilities in different areas, in multiple aspects of their operation, like improvement initiatives. They are growing and growing. They've been there for years and they continue. Expanding and enhancing information system, huge increase. Sales and marketing initiatives, developing offers, developing new markets, new product development. And wherever you go, you see this outstanding analytical capabilities that are coming into the picture. And whatever you see in product, you see more and more integration of hardware with software, with learning capabilities. That has been for quite a long time, and it is continuing. And it is amazing the amount of things that are done. And definitely dealing with investors, those that are investing in the companies, those that are investing in new technologies, in startups, etc. So it's up to management to decide how do they want and they acquire these capabilities. So they may decide that this is not a part of their core skills and core business, but they need these skills and capabilities, and hence they buy services from the outside, from consultants, from integrators, service companies, etc. And these external bodies definitely have these analytical capabilities, and you can say that this is a very good news for those that are selling their capabilities, because there's a lot of business and very good business associated with that. So actually, we are talking, and I am talking to those that love systems. They are not afraid to make the effort and invest in continuous learning and upgrading themselves and search for better and better ways how to do things. So there is a need, and this need has been there, and it's not going to diminish. But the question is that why do we claim that there is a growing need for these analytical capabilities? And this stems from global trends that have been around and has been intensified in the recent years. For example, startup companies. And here is an example, just from a few weeks back. An Israeli company, it's called Jigia, had an exit of $350 million in cash. They were bought by SAP, by SAP. The company analyzes personal preferences of internet surfers. So this is a company that within 10 years started from zero, end up being sold for $350 million because they are doing an outstanding work with analyzing data that is coming from the internet. So here's a question for you guys. Okay? Israel is positioned in the front end of the content analysis technology. Why is that? Being an Israeli, knowing the background, who we are, where we come from, I can very easily say, yes, we do not shrug the shoulder about system analysis and analytical capabilities. It starts from schools, high schools, universities, and of course the major generator of people with outstanding analytical capabilities are the army units that are dealing with new development, IT development, and the front end of technology. So basically what I'm saying is that, it's a major management decisions, an individual decision, whether to shrug the shoulder and to say, come on, we don't need it, okay? But actually what I'm saying is that, one, if you are interested, you may be deciding to go this direction. And if not, this is your own decision. So another source of growth is the need for this need is from the significant increase in the development of new IT system. And this is based on the connected digital technology. In Europe, this is known as the initiative of the Industry 4. 4.0. However, and this is very much supported and promoted by several governments in the European community. There are other places in the world that have not heard about it, but as the name Industry 4.0, but definitely they are very much aware about this new development. And this technology includes the IoT, the Internet of Things, the AI, the artificial intelligence. And there's a lot which is done in this area. Here are some questions. Who will build the programs? Someone has to do that. Okay, the programmers. Okay, so you can say, okay, programmers are skills are being told what to do, but someone has to tell them who is going to instruct them what to program. And these are the system designers. These designers must have the analytical capabilities. And also, who is going to help the company to implement? The integrators. So, all of these external people that I managed, these companies, will need and are in need of capabilities, while many companies have decided they don't want to deal with and maybe outsource their IT to somebody else, and that they are completely incapable to improve their own system, and whatever they need, they have to run out and beg or ask for the service, and in many cases pay a lot for something that they could have done or have been doing in the past just because they had their own IT department with the system analyst. Again, this is a trend, okay? But the message, from my point of view, is that I don't see that the computers are going to replace our brains, our capabilities with the analytical. They can help, definitely. They can arrange for us the data, but someone still has to do this work. Just because I mentioned Industry 4.0, then I said this is sort of like a major jump in the performance and in the reality of manufacturing. So the name 4.0 is coming like the fourth industrial revolution. So the first revolution was in the 1700s, when there was the introduction of the commercial steam engine and the mechanical loom. The early 1900s, there was the harnessing of the electricity into manufacturing and the mass production. After the Second World War came the third revolution, which was based on the introduction of the computer. And actually, this is continuing on and on. But the amount of changes that have been occurring since the last, let's say, 7-10 years have brought people to declare in 2011 the fourth revolution as the interconnected digital technology. And what we have to, so this was in order to ensure that we are synchronized and referring to the same thing. But all of the changes throughout the years with the revolution and the evolution in between, they were the combination of the technological innovations which were coupled with outstanding visionary leaders who could see not only what this technology can do for their own business and for own quality of life, but they see beyond that into what impact it has on society. And that's why actually they got it this as a acknowledgement as revolutions. If you want to know more about Industry 4.0, there's a recommended reading. This is an article. You have here the link to it. It's called the Strategist Guide to Industry 4.0. Global businesses are about to integrate their operation into seamless digital whole and thereby change the world. And many companies, and especially the large corporations, are already in this process, have been doing that. They believe that they are progressing into it. They have a huge confidence that they will go into significant integration of all of these systems, well and beyond what was before. Just to remind you that in 1968, when IBM Research Center came with the COPIX vision, which was computer-oriented production and inventory, communication-oriented production and inventory control system, they were talking already about integration of all of the systems and that were needed in order to run the manufacturing enterprise. Okay. Yes, it did not include the accounting, yes, and the human resources, and maybe the customers and the customers' relationship, and some elements that came afterwards to enhance it into the ERP. But this concept have been there now coming 50 years. Nevertheless, the current technology makes it more and more affordable and available, while doing it not only within the company, but across the company and within the supply chain and with the all of the society around us. So now we are coming into TOC. Where does TOC fit into all of these wonderful things that are happening around us? And surprise, surprise, we do believe that TOC can play a significant role within all of these activities and in enhancing the analytical capabilities. So there are several levels. We can talk about when we are dealing with any existing in progress initiatives, whatever they are. We can talk about new initiatives, designing them, and we can talk about incorporating TOC with the analytical tools into major strategic initiatives. What can be done with TOC is reviewing the initiatives, checking that they are logically sound, verifying that they are going to bring the expected benefits, and all of them while using the TOC analytical tools, which we call the thinking processes. Quick review of what have been developed over the years. First group is the mindset and the basic commitment to logic-based management. Within that, we have the U-shape, the cause and effect relationship, the categories of legitimate reservation, and the basic clouds for either inner dilemma or conflict clouds. All of them are creating the basic toolbox for the analyst, and also ensuring that all of the analysts are sort of on the same mindset and have the same language in order to develop and communicate. Okay. Second group is about the understanding of the current reality and basically having all of the tools to answer the question of what to change. Remember, all over the years, there have been a huge investment in building the infrastructure, the system, the procedures, the ways that the company works, and so on. And when we are moving to the next step of improvement, it's extremely important to focus on really what is needed to be changed, and do not change what is good enough and does not need at this moment to be changed. So we have in our arsenal the undesirable effects, the Oded cloud, the consolidated cloud, the core cloud, and the current reality tree, which is the place by which we store all of the relevant knowledge, causalities, clusters that are absolutely critical and necessary for understanding what to change. Then we are moving to the group that is dealing with developing the solution, establishing it, called the future reality, that is going to come after the implementation of this change and what to change. And this arsenal contains the TOC pivot, the direction of the solution, all of the elements of the solution, the injections, the desired effect, the outcomes, the benefits that will come out of it, dealing with risk and negative branches that may stem from these new ideas, and again capturing all of it in a place as a data bank of the knowledge, as a reference point, and where to capture all of the valuable knowledge that has been gathered. And this is the future reality tree. Next box is about the transition. And this is implementing the solution, answering the question how to change. We have the ambitious target with its IO map. We have the prerequisite tree. We have the detailed plan. And we have the strategy and tactic, which is basically giving or distilling from the entire knowledge everything which is absolutely necessary in terms of the actions, in terms of the strategies to be achieved, and picking very carefully the relevant assumptions, conditions by which this implementation, when it will be done according to the plans, will bring the expected results. The fifth element has been there for many years, and it is an integrated part of TOC, and this is the continuous improvement, what we call the POOGI, process of ongoing improvement. Tools like the firefighting cloud, the dilemma and the conflict clouds, and a major tool and breakthrough of the TOC, which is the buffer management, with the analysis of the findings of the buffer management that is telling us how to move forward. So this is a huge arsenal of tools which are available and can make things happen. And if we look on manufacturing and what has happened in the last nearly 50 years, at least I can go from my experience since I joined manufacturing and what we have seen around when we went to different countries, different environments, different manufacturing, different industries. There have been ample of initiative, okay? Starting from the third generation of the Industrial Revolution. Because when we came into the picture already there were systems there and the computers, the early days of the computers, and we could have seen the evolution and the involvement of that. From a technological point of view, what happened in the manufacturing were things like the NC, the CNC, the DNC, the automation, the robotics, machine centers, cell technology, one-piece flow, 5S, lean, value stream, TACT. All of this has been in place and keep on growing. They exist, and they definitely many manufacturing environment and production environment have been subject to all of these initiative and developments. When we're looking on computerized systems, then 1960s had the MRP, the small MRP, material requirements planning. 70s, the MRP2, then the integrated manufacturing system, and 19th towards the millennium is the ERP systems, and plenty of other things. But again, when we're looking on manufacturing, there have been quite a strong development and evolution of the involvement of the computer in the ways that we are managing the system, in managing the flow, and actually what management is supposed to do in ensuring that the system fulfilling their objective, achieving the goal of the company, and produce the results. From a managerial point of view, there also have been a lot of initiative. We can talk about cost reduction in the 80s, the zero inventory, the business process reengineering, TQM with the influence from the Eastern Japan, just in time, Toyota production system, Six Sigma, and all of this has been telling us that the manufacturing has been under continuous growth all the time. And when we come to any new company, we see that they're not standing still. They're not sitting and waiting for what to do next. They will have always several initiatives in progress and a queue of new initiatives that are looking to be authorized, get the capital, and start going. But here are some of the observations. First of all, as I said, all of these initiatives have definitely are based on good ideas. They are relevant and have brought improvements to the environments and the companies that they have implemented it. When we're looking on those companies that have implemented it, and they're still with us today, it's obvious that they've gained competitive edge and supported their survival and growth. However, not all of them manage to survive. And it's not always that implementing those ideas have helped the companies to survive. And some of the companies that were sort of in the spearhead of this initiative, some of them are not do not exist anymore. And I refer you to things like the world-class manufacturers of the 1980s, that many of them ceased to exist. And actually, very little is known about the reasons for the failures of these companies. Actually, I'm not blaming directly the implementation of this initiative, but if we are looking from the TOC perspective, I can say that strengthening a link, which is not the weakest link, while ignoring the weakest link, can be pretty fatal. And this is where what we want to highlight is that it is maybe dangerous. So the conclusion is that many times companies take on board and accept initiatives that should not have been accepted. So what can go wrong? Accepting, of course, a wrong initiative, this is in hindsight. So the initiative has been accepted and then it didn't work, and then we can say, oh, well, voila, this was the wrong decision. Well, this is one point of looking at that. But at the same time, given that there are the possibilities and the capabilities, the analytical capabilities to try preventing from accepting wrong initiative, then it is not only views in hindsight. So what can go wrong? What are the implications of accepting? First of all, consuming resources, money, people, management attention that do not really bring real value, okay, either directly or indirectly to the bottom line of the companies. And we can see a situation by which there had been an initiative, the money was allocated, it was invested, but nobody dares to go and check whether this initiative has actually delivered the promises that was given to the board when they were asking to get the money to run it. It's not only that they consume the resources, but actually these resources are not available for the initiatives that could have generated more benefits for the company. Management sometimes think, oh, situation is okay because we have those initiatives and everything is under control. They will just finish this project and everything will be great. Yes, on paper, maybe. In reality, not always. Losing time. If there is a need to launch critical recovery initiative and the company is not taking it because they're expecting existing project to be finished, this can be very, very unpleasant and painful. So what do we recommend? We recommend is to check the value of the initiatives that are in progress and review and upgrade the process of accepting the new initiative. And of course, you still see. System analysis is a concept developed in the 1970s when there were the migration of manual system into computerized system. And in order to give instruction for the programmers to develop the programs and the systems, there was a need for a new type of skills of a profession, and this is the system analyst. Their work contains several steps, starting with understanding the current situation, known also as is, the design of a new system to be, the installation of the new system, and the operation and operating it according to the new system. This is a part of the implementation plan. And then, hopefully, the results are coming, and having auditing and having the courage to go and check whether the results have been achieved. This is what system analysis is all about. TOC has the analytical tools for all the steps of the system analysis. We're talking about the U-shape. This is the tool and methodology for the understanding of the current reality, what to change with the problem, the core problem, and then the design of the new system, what to change to, developing the solution, containing the direction of the solution, the detailed elements, the outcome, trimming the risk, and that's presented in the future reality. So these are the first and the basic tools that are very, very critical for the system analysis. For implementation, TOC provides the tool of making a solution a reality and checking that the promised results are achieved. For that, we have the implementation map and the detailed plan with the tools, how to construct it, how to check it, how to ensure that it fits what is needed to be done. There's a lot of knowledge, not only the tools, but also captured knowledge of the procedures, whether it's the computerized procedures, the managerial procedures that are needed for making it happen. And once it's in operation, we can check that actually delivers, and if they need to make changes to the installation, there is a feedback loop. The auditing is done by checking the expected results and sometimes changing either the implementation, the way it was implementation, or maybe even making some modification to the design itself. The major tool for that is the structure and the logic of the strategy and tactic tree for auditing the implementation. S&Ts are already in progress. 13 years, I think that there is ample of examples into the power of what they can do for ensuring that the implementation goes according to the plan that was carefully designed using the analytical capabilities. Now I have to add the continuous improvement, and continuous improvement is in order to answer the question where to improve next. The TOC has the buffer management as a built into every application, to every solution. managing the flow, while the buffer management is detecting that there are disruption to the flow, blockages to the flow, and it's slowed down. Not only it signals to the management and say, do something about it and take maybe recovery actions, but also the system collects huge amount of very good and important critical data of what went wrong, what slows down, what blocks, and then use the system analysis in order to point what to do next and where to do it, what to do. Sometime or many times this is the link that is connected the buffer management to the Lean and the Six Sigma that can help with developing the solutions. So we have all of the spectrum of the system analysis with the TOC analytical tools. Question is when and for what to use the TOC analytical capabilities. And I'm basically talking to those of you that may be listening to me because you want to learn more about TOC and you may be thinking what TOC can do for you. So, because for the TOC practitioners, those that are working within their companies and those that are consulting to other organizations, it is obvious when to use TOC and what for. But here's just a quick summary. 3 common cases. Common case, the core problem is not obvious. And then we are using the entire set of the TOC analytical tools to develop all the way from the current situation till the full implementation plan and thereafter. The second common case is that the core problem is known and it seems that the standard TOC solution may fit. There's still a need to apply the TOC logical checks, modify and upgrade whenever is necessary. Don't take anything for granted. Has to be very, very carefully checked, especially the conditions and the assumptions under which for a specific environment, specific situation, there will be the benefits by implementing the injections and the elements of the solution. The third one is getting involved with non-TOC initiative, whether they are existing or planned. And those of you that are not yet TOC practitioners, or that you know TOC and you have tried to implement it in your environment and did not get a lot of success or support from your colleagues, bosses, peers, subordinates, you may consider to take these TOC tools on board for yourself and look and do something and get involved with non-TOC initiatives around you, because there are plenty of those. And that you really can become an unrefusable offer, because you have the tools, you have the ability to make things happen. Because if the idea is good, yes, it should be properly implemented. And there's plenty of what to do with the analytical tools. I would like to recommend to you sort of a presentation, very good presentation describing the third lines that I just suggested. Because the industry 4.0 is already in existence. Okay? And there's ample of knowledge around there. There are instructions, there are consultants, there are services, there are governments that are pouring money into that. You can get involved, but you can also get involved when you're using the TOC thinking and thinking processes tools in order to ensure that whatever is done is done in a very proper and beneficial way for the company. And then it is win-win for everybody. It's win for the company, it's win for you because you are contributing your managerial and analytical capabilities for the good of the companies. In the TOCPA conference a year ago in Vilnius, Lithuania, Oded Cohen gave a very nice presentation looking on the industry 4.0 through the eyes of TOC. This is a major leading slide into it. We're moving towards industry 4.0, looking with TOC tools. And here's the link to the material, to the PDF, and to the video. It's an presentation which is worth watching. So finally, here are my personal recommendations. And this is for those who want to enhance their analytical capabilities using the TOC thinking processes. One, remember that the TOC tools are based on rigorous logic. And in order to master them, one has to learn, practice them, and need to be professionally coached by TOC experts. It's not enough to read one book. It's not enough even to look on some written material, PDFs and videos in order to say, I am proficient and I'm an expert in that. Not every 5 boxes with arrows make it into a cloud. Yes. And many times people are saying, I wrote a cloud and it worked beautifully. Yes, sometimes you are lucky, but sometimes if it's not properly built and checked with all of the rigorous of the logic, it may not bring the results. And then people said, this is not working. Yes, guys, it's not working if the guy is using the thinking processes is not proficient. And proficiency needs training and training and training and continuous growth and continuous practicing. It is mandatory to make your homework properly. This means to work on your own and carefully check the work while be ready and proficient in listening to challenges and disagreements. This is not easy. I mean, to do the hard work of the rigorous, that is one thing. But the second is that when I develop something and then I'm coming to a fellow who is an expert, and this person is challenging Not me, challenging what I have written, challenging what I've said. Many times I do not know how to do the difference between the two, unfortunately. Okay? Being around for TOC for 40 years and being with Eli for 34 years, yes, I learned it very, very good on myself that if I want a good solution, if I want a good work, I must be open to challenges. Can disagree, but at least to listen and then to decide what to do with my work, because my work is always my work and it's up to me. And if I'm lucky that I have around me people that are willing to invest from their time and effort to listen to me and to give me their opinions, I should feel very grateful. TOC, and especially TOCTP, is a personal choice. It's my choice. It is your choice. But you cannot, you cannot force it on anybody. Please excuse my mistake. Yes, because this cannot be forced. You can share your views if the other person is interested and willing to listen. Do not show off. And I've seen too many situations by which people read half a book, wrote half a cloud, and they go and teach the world how things should be done. Okay? We are not a cult. This is not a religion. This is a profession. Those who want to be a profession, this is their own choice. And I can tell you, it doesn't matter whether this is your boss, your subordinate, your peer. If this is then, it is not their choice. They not necessarily want to listen to you preaching them about TOC and how they should run their system using TOC. As a boss, you can give instruction what to do, but you cannot instruct people to learn TOC and to master TOC. This is their own choice. And we suggest very much that people around you will benefit from the fact that you have these incredible tools and ability to make improvements and contribution because you have these tools. But don't push it down their throat. And my formal statement is that on a personal level, using these analytical capabilities can help you to become a value offer to your boss and to your company. And if you look into the history of so many outstanding TOC implementation, behind them you will find outstanding individuals, outstanding leaders with analytical capabilities. Alex Rogo in the Gold was a fiction, but he was a representative of several people that we worked with and knew in the beginning of 1980s. And since then, we met many, many more Alex Rogos that basically did the right things, improved the system, and grew up very nicely in the organization. So there is a personal rewarding for those who make this choice. And this webinar and TOCPA and our Facebook groups is for those professionals that have decided that TOC is their choice. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Oded. That was really inspirational and made, I think, quite a lot of food for thought. I have already one comment from Katie, but before reading that, that's my fault. I didn't say how to ask the questions at the beginning of webinar. So you should have on your panel, webinar panel, the window called comments or questions, and you can write in any of your questions, and I will read them to Oded, and Oded will answer. So while people are writing the questions, I just want to read the comment from Katie Austin, and she writes, I started learning TOC in 1989. I began learning TOC and the existing TP tools in 89's Jonas program. I continued to learn, practice, unlearn, and upgrade. Webinars like those in these series and TOC ICOs continue my learning. While in some respect I consider myself almost an expert, in so many ways, I'm just an egg, to quote Heinlein. Thank you, Oded, for this excellent webinar. So we have the question from Jorge. How to go about the change in top management that almost always comes with their way of doing things, even though internally there is some established TOC knowledge.
Good question. And I basically mentioned it when I'm talking about what's happening when we have the TOC practitioner, TOC manager who is really into TOC and has done quite nicely within his or her area of responsibility, but definitely coming into places by which they are dependent either on their peers or their bosses. And we know that when we deal with the bosses, making explicit use of the TOC, if the boss is not on TOC and is determined to do it their way, there's no other way to handle it but to not to use explicit TOC. That's I gave, I think, the first presentation on this subject in 1996 in the JONA conference, and then we dealt with it in the Goldwatt schools, and when we published the book Leading People Through Change, I wrote there an article about this issue. And it is still relevant today as it was always. We have to understand, and that's why I said that TOC is a personal choice. And if my boss does not make this choice, then I cannot use it explicit. I can use it with myself. I can do my homework using explicit TOC. I can write my analysis, I can write my clouds, I can develop my injection, I can do everything when I'm working with myself on my desk. I may have my think tank next to me. 1, 2, 3 colleagues, maybe my subordinates that are in line with me, they're on the same wavelength. They have also chosen TOC. Great, we can do our homework. But then when we are coming to communicate to outside this TOC group, we have to be very, very careful not to use TOC explicit, because this gives the other people, especially the top management, uneasy feeling of changing the status quo, and not necessarily they are willing to go through this exercise. Okay, so suggestion is you do your homework, and then you try to persuade using conventional ways. Yes, PowerPoint presentation, bullet points, okay, and listen very carefully to what they want. Actually, it's not necessarily that what they want is wrong. May not be precisely what we want, okay? If it is completely wrong, yes, that is one thing, okay? And then you have a choice, you know. Either you say what you think and maybe being fired, or you shut up and do as you're told, yes, because you are not the head of the system. Even if you are consultant, okay, if you don't have the authority, yes, you can't impose. We have to remember that top management, they are the owners, or they are representative of the owners of the system. That's it. Up to you.
Okay, thank you, Oded. Then we have another question from Andrews. Thank you for the nice webinar. My question is related to implementation part. All the insights coming from TOC are purely logical. However, people who are implementing it are psychological. It's like with the with the stress on psycho. And this is often weak link in execution of good strategy, like making personal choice to become TOC expert. What do you think? Should TOC consider emotional part of the picture of the reality one day?
Look, there are definitely several attempts or suggestions to extend TOC also to deal with emotional resistance, and it is a personal choice of the person who is leading the implementation. The layers of resistance are giving the implementer, the TOC practitioner who is implementing, the ability to analyze the resistance, or what is perceived as resistance, and unwillingness to implement the solution. And the message is coming: check very carefully whether the person that is raising the reservation has a point that because you have the logical tools and capabilities, you can analyze it to understand the person and maybe to come with some changes, some amendments to the solution itself, so that will be helping the person to overcome whatever is the emotional resistance. Because in the end of the day, let's be very, very clear. Systems, okay, unless you are in a kibbutz or in a kolkhoz, system has their own hierarchy. And the managers do have their authority, including the authority to make decisions, legitimate decisions. If you have a subordinate that is not willing to collaborate, you can try and see whether he has a point, up to a point that you said, okay, you're not willing to do it, fine. Why are you in this business? Why are you here? You don't want to do it? Don't do it. But why here? Yes? I'm not suggesting to fire everybody that resists a change, but this is coming after you have done all of your effort to overcome their resistance. There is something they're afraid of. Okay? They are not 4-year kids that say, I don't want because I don't want, and I have the right to not to want to. Yes? This is not the reality. Okay? So choose your own people. Okay? And if you think that you are surrounded by obnoxious, emotional, psycho people, check, are you in the right company? Do you have the right company? Guys, I want to tell you something very, very important. Okay, and I'll repeat what I say. We have seen hundreds of outstanding TOC implementations. Behind each one of them, there have been an outstanding leader. And I don't care where you are, yes? A leader is a person that the troops choose as a leader. And I've seen it in a kibbutz and in Israel, and I've seen it in the UK, and I've seen it in Japan, and I've seen it in India. Okay? It doesn't really matter. It goes into the leadership of the organization, and then you can check whether you have the right organization, you have the right people, and why are you doing that? Yes. Or why do their people can tell you what to do, to the extent that you are shivering and you're afraid of this illogical psychology. So, do homework, but if you are the manager and you have the authority, be fair, listen, and firm. Listen and eventually make a decision, and then you want people to stick to it. That is the Japanese way of making a decision, or used to be, at least with the old regime, talking about consensus. And consensus means before making the decision, you listen. After the decision, you act.
Thank you, Oded, for that answer. Again, question from Jorge. I was once approached by someone asking, I want to really learn TOC in depth. What do you recommend? My answer was learn the TOC thinking processes, become proficient on using them, the rest will be a derivative of it. What do you think about this issue?
Can you repeat the beginning of the statement?
I was once approached by someone asking, I want really to learn TOC in depth. What do you recommend? And Jorge's answer was, learn the TOCTP, become proficient on using them. The rest will be a derivative of it. What do you think about this issue? Well, I think, was the recommendation right?
Yeah, the recommendation is right. And I will add to that, that once the person becomes a proficient, and also, as I said, throughout the becoming proficient, first of all, try to find somebody to coach, to work with, to mentor, to challenge. Even this is on a periodic basis, and try also to get into some working groups and working environment by which there can be more than one person practicing it. I mentioned the idea about a think tank, and we have seen it in several organizations by which the TOC leader decided that he wants to have a thinking group with him, and if he could afford them, even position them as a think tank. And they became pretty strategically involved in the organization. So yes, definitely the idea is in the right direction. And yeah, there's a lot that can be learned. But also, I think that because of the logical structure, then the learning has to be done in, I can't say it, I'm trying to translate from Hebrew, but it is actually, the learning has to be done with companion, okay? I don't want to use that the TOC is a social tool, because now it has completely different implication. But Ted in the last in his in a webinar was talking about the Talmudic way of thinking, and I'm referring to the Talmudic way of learning, and the way that the Talmud, or the Jewish material is learned, especially in their university, is that where two guys are sitting one opposite the other with an open book, and they read a sentence by sentence, and then they discuss it, okay? And they are referring to it, and they are challenging each other and themselves, and discussing. So it is learn it with companion. So it was a short answer for a longer question.
Thank you. Yes, just my comment. One of my friends from Israel, he said that in Jewish religion, or is that if you learn yourself, if you're learning alone, it's like you're stealing from somebody. You are not sharing your insights and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you can, yeah. Give me the opportunity just to say a big thank you for Kathy. Yes. Yes, it has been a very, very long journey together. Yes, from the early days of the Jonah program, and just the Jonah program was mentioned, and was the desire to transfer the thinking processes and the analytical tools to the leaders, to the managers of the system. And what we have found is that from an intellectual point of view, people are capable of learning the Jonah program. There's no or the content of the thinking processes, and over the years that has been improved and improved and improved. But the willingness, yes, is not there always. Okay, and the third element that is needed is the sense of the leadership. I said, I'm doing it not only for myself, I'm doing it for my system, for my group, for my company. Okay, so the sense of responsibility. And when we're looking on these three requirements, which is the intellectual capabilities, the willingness to challenge the assumption and to keep on learning and learning and learning, and the leadership in the sense of the determination to keep on making the effort, the cross section between these three requirements, bringing us into very, very, very tiny group of people, unfortunately. Yes, please.
Yeah, and I think just the last question. What book could you recommend for learning TOC thinking processes to study it in a Talmudic way? Is it at all TP should be studied from the book?
No, I think that the Talmudic way is definitely not presented explicitly in any of the thinking processes. Some of us, because of the background, our personal background, have it as a built-in, even if. For example, I did not come from a religious background. Nevertheless, throughout the years, we got some of the thinking, the Talmudic thinking processes in schools, starting from elementary to high school. I can't think about such a book. I think that there was one attempt. No, but I'm not sure if there has been. Eli Goldratt, he came from the religious background. He learned in the yeshiva, and he knew very, very good the thinking processes. And I think that in his book, everything that you find, you can find a trace to the Talmudic way. But what I can say, and I think this is a very important for those that are interested in the thinking processes. One of the key concept that exists in TOC, in the thinking processes, in the analysis, in the development, stems from the Talmudic way, in the sense that there is a convergence And when you're looking, on all of the fountain and ocean of knowledge that exists in the Talmud, you have to understand that the Talmud is the sort of the third layer of a of the holy or the religious writing. There is the Old Testament, and then the next layer is the Mishnah, and this is the interpretation and development stemming from the Old Testament. And then comes the Talmud that is furthering developing it. So you can take a section in the Talmud and you can trace it back logically through the Mishnah to a sentence or maybe one word in the Old Testament. Okay? So all of this conversion, it's like a huge geometry that starts with very few assumptions or basic assumptions or axioms, and from that you develop everything. And thank you for this question, because in a way I think that part of our, basically my intuitive sometimes reaction or intuitive behavior and my reaction to things that are said is the desire to stick to the logical connection and the conversion that is coming all the way down. Okay, so sometimes it may be just an definition, and there is a definition, and people said, "Oh, it's defining." Well, I am a newcomer, and I've decided, and I'm telling you that I have a better definition for so and so. And I said, "Yes, you haven't learned anything. Not the Talmud, not the Mishnah, not the Old Testament. But you are coming and you say, I have a new definition." So that's my answer.
Okay, thank you, Oded, for your insights, for your answers. I think it was really insightful for all the listeners, and thank you all the participants for joining us. And
I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Nerios, for managing it and holding it and organizing it. Thank you.
yeah, so thank you everybody, and let's keep in touch. Don't forget that we have plenty of interesting webinars coming in the nearest future, so don't forget to check the TOCPA website, and recording of this webinar with the slides will be posted within a few days on the TOCPA website. So have a nice Halloween, everybody, and see you in our new coming seminars.